So you're aiming for a port captain role in the UAE. You know, it's one of the most demanding, but also one of the most rewarding shore jobs in the entire world. The thing is, landing it all comes down to a single high-stakes interview. Over the next few minutes, we're going to build your blueprint for success in 2026, starting with the very reason you're here.
Okay, let's just get right to it. Let's talk numbers. This is the kind of monthly salary we're talking about for a port captain in Dubai. It's a huge prize, and believe me, it is absolutely within your reach, but only if you're more prepared than everyone else vying for that spot.
You've got to understand, industry giants like DP World and ADNOC, well, they're not just hiring another captain, they're entrusting a critical piece of their entire global operation to one person. That's you. And that's exactly why the interview is so intense. Our goal today is to make sure you walk into that room ready to prove you're the safest pair of hands they can possibly find.
Now, before we even dive into the questions, you have to have a rock-solid grasp of the job itself. This isn't just about what you know from your time at sea. It's about proving you truly get the massive shift from being in command on a ship to managing operations from the shore.
Just take a look at this list. See the theme here? It's not about command. It's all about coordination. You're the central hub, the person linking the vessels, the authorities and the terminals. You're not just ticking boxes for Marpol and Solus, you're actively building a culture of safety. This is a management role, through and through, and every single answer you give has to show that you've made that mental leap from ship to shore.
All right, let's get into the heart of it, the questions you are pretty much guaranteed to face. And we're not just going to look at what they ask. More importantly, we're going to break down why they're asking it. You know, understanding the interviewer's real goal is the secret to giving a knockout answer.
Okay, here's a classic. Compliance is everything, right? It's non-negotiable, but they're not looking for you to just recite the rule book. What they really want to see is if you have a system, a proactive process for making sure regulations aren't just known, but are followed by everyone, every single day.
A really strong answer connects these four pillars. It's not about doing just one of these things, it's about the system they create together. Audits tell you where you stand. Training closes the gaps. ISM procedures give you the framework, and constant updates make sure you're always ahead of the curve. This shows you build a culture of compliance. You don't just check boxes.
Now for a scenario question. They're going to throw a curveball, because let's be honest, things go wrong. Equipment fails, logistics get snagged. It's going to happen. What the interviewer wants to see here is your process. Do you panic, or do you have a clear, logical, and safe method for handling a crisis?
This four-step process is your blueprint, and the order here is absolutely critical. You start with safety, always, no exceptions. Then you assess what's happening, and you communicate up the chain. You dig in and investigate the root cause. But here's the step that really separates a true manager from a firefighter: prevention. You put measures in place to make sure it never, ever happens again. That shows real ownership.
So we know the content of a good answer now, but how do you actually structure it for maximum impact, especially when they ask you one of those tell me a story type questions? Well, there's a simple and really powerful framework for that.
I guarantee you're going to get a question just like this. It'll start with, tell me about a time when, or describe a situation where. They're asking you to tell a story, and the best stories always have a clear structure.
Meet your new best friend, the STAR method. This is the framework that top professionals use to structure their answers to any behavioral question. It forces you to be concise, to be clear, and to focus on the results, turning what could be a long, rambling story into a powerful example of just how competent you are.
Let's break it down really quick. S is for situation. Just set the scene really briefly. T is for task. What was your specific goal or your duty? A is for action. What exactly did you do? This is the most important part, where you shine. And R is for result. What was the positive outcome? If you can, put a number to it. This structure makes your experience so easy to follow and incredibly impactful. So let's see this in action. The situation and task are set in one quick breath. The action, I coordinated, shows leadership, not just doing a task. And the result, minimal delay, is specific and focused on the business. In just one sentence, you've shown problem-solving, teamwork, and a sharp focus on operational efficiency. It's perfect.
Look, generic answers are the fastest way to get your application tossed in the no pile. They just won't cut it. To really stand out, you've got to show you haven't just applied for a job, but for this job at this company. Doing your homework and tailoring your answers, especially for giants like DP World and ADNOC, is absolutely non-negotiable.
And notice the different priorities here. This is huge. When you're talking to DP World, you should frame your examples around efficiency and fast turnarounds, while always underscoring safety. But if you're interviewing with ADNOC, your stories have to be rooted in their super strict oil and gas protocols, environmental responsibility, and constant emergency readiness. You need to use their language to show you get their world.
So here's a perfect example of a company-specific question. This is highly relevant for a role with ADNOC or really anywhere in the UAE region. This is a huge stakes scenario where a procedural, by-the-book answer is the only one they want to hear.
Your response to this has to be a clear, step-by-step protocol. There is zero room for improvisation here. You activate the plan, you inform the authorities, you deploy containment resources, and you meticulously follow every MARPOL procedure. This proves you are a safe, reliable, and competent leader, especially in a worst-case scenario.
Phew! We've covered a lot of ground. Let's wrap things up with some crucial final tips to make sure you don't stumble at the last minute and can keep your prep going with total confidence. Okay, let's talk about the danger zone, the common mistakes that can sink your chances. The biggest one? Sounding like you're still a ship captain, not a port manager. Remember, you're there to lead a culture, not just follow rules. Your communication has to be crystal clear, and your knowledge of the specific UAE ports has to be deep. Avoid these pitfalls, and you're already way ahead of the game.
When it comes right down to it, this is what it's all about. That salary, that incredible role, they're earned not just by your experience at sea, but by how well you can prove your management skills and your practical, shore-based knowledge during that one-hour interview. That's where preparation makes all the difference.
So if you only take away 3 things today, let them be these. 1. Get your real-life stories and examples ready. 2. Structure them perfectly using the STAR method. And 3. Tailor every single thing you say to the specific needs of the company you're talking to.
And please remember, this is just the start. The confidence you'll feel walking into that interview room is built right now, in the hours of practice you put in beforehand. It's a simple fact. The best candidates are always the most prepared.
To keep this journey going, you should check out the source for today's explainer, marinecareersuae.com. You can practice with a ton more questions and even download a complete guide. So the final question isn't if you're ready, but what will you do starting today to make sure you're the one who gets that offer?